Good morning. Good morning. This is Charles Coachman, and this is Coachman on Real Estate. It is Tuesday, November 17th, and I've got a couple of birthday shout outs for some friends that I know from the real estate business, and that is Ryan Hodge and Rod Hibner. Both are great guys. Ryan is an excellent coach out of Canada, and Rod Hibner has been a longtime friend with Keller Williams here in the Silicon Valley. So guys, happy birthday. Enjoy. And now I wanted to invite our special guest on. It's Jaime Greene, the solar queen. And she is going to give us everything that she knows about solar. So Jaime Greene, welcome. Welcome, Jaime.
Thank you, Charles. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Jaime. So Jaime, hey, let's pop right in. How are you doing today?
I'm well. I'm healthy. I'm happy. My kids have their breakfast. They're happy to be on their iPads while I come onto your show today. So I'm feeling great.
Awesome. Hey, Jaime, let's talk here real quick. Where were you born and raised?
Ooh, that's a great question. I was born in Seoul, Korea. And I was adopted. So I came to the United States when I was 5 months old. Grew up in Puyallup, Washington. I have a sister who's adopted from Korea and a brother adopted from India. And then our parents had their biological son. So he's older than me. He's 5 years older than me. And then my younger sister and my brother. So we were a very diverse family, multicultural.
That's awesome. You had a minor UN at home.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, tell us a little bit about your childhood, Jaime.
Yeah. So I grew up in a suburban neighborhood, just about, an hour south of Seattle and about 20 minutes east of Tacoma. So small town. I don't know if anybody has been up there on your audience, but we were known for the Puyallup Fair. And now it's known as the Washington Fair because the state kind of took over. But it's a 3-week, fair that happens. And so the Puyallup Fair, and grew up it was a great little town. I played sports through growing up, some fast pitch and volleyball and a little bit of tennis. Grew up there. My parents got divorced when I was 12. And then when I was 14, my mom and my brother and I moved down to Santa Monica, California, actually, because she had remarried and her husband was living down there and going to school. And so we had a brief stay in Santa Monica. And then we moved back up to Washington because he started going to school at UW Seattle for dental school. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So as you grew up, where did you end up going to college at?
I went to a couple of colleges. I started out at Western Washington University with some friends from high school. And that I stayed there for just under a year. I wasn't really, the college scene wasn't quite my thing. So I moved back home. I actually moved in with some roommates in Tacoma. And then I started going to PLU, Pacific Lutheran University, which is a private college. Went there and college just wasn't my thing. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And it seemed like a lot of money to go into debt for, which I ended up unenrolling from Pacific Lutheran University and got a job at the Boeing Company. And the Boeing Company actually paid for me to go to college. So I not only had this amazing career at the Boeing Company, but I worked on college credits and everything. To this day, I don't have a college degree, but I've been in college. But I would say my career at the Boeing Company was a fantastic, like real life education, because I traveled the world and learned a ton from working there.
So what exactly did you do with Boeing?
I did a couple of things. I would say I had 3 main jobs at the Boeing Company. The first one was working in flight training. So I worked under the director of flight training and the director of flight standards. And this was back in 2000. I started working there actually in 1999. I believe I was 1999. And so I helped manage training records for flight training and standards, worked with the FAA on making sure that our pilots, our instructor pilots were up, licenses were up to date, and they got all their landings and takeoffs. And so because we trained all the airlines that bought planes from Boeing, so we were in charge of that. So I supported flight training, all the flight training records and whatnot for students coming into the Boeing company. And then after that, I was an airline program manager. So when an airline would buy new planes from Boeing, I would go and meet with the airline, set up their training program for their engineering department and maintenance departments. And so that's what allowed me to travel all over the world, all over Europe, Asia Pacific, Australia, New Zealand. And I managed, these training programs, 777s, 747s, 737 airline programs. And it was wonderful.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And then before I left Boeing, after that, I did that for about 6 years. And then there was an opportunity to work at the operations center. So this was a 24/7, it was called the Boeing Operations Center. And it was with engineers, structural engineers, anything, if there was ever an incident, like a crash or two airplanes clipped wings at the airport, or they needed their heavy C&D checks, which is like, going in and getting your 100,000 mile car maintenance. That was kind of what it was like for airplanes. So I would take care of all this sales support for anything related to service operations and whatnot. So we had like screens all over the wall, and we were always ready if there was an incident to start, getting the services repaired or sending out teams out to incidences if there was a crash or a collision of some sort on the ground. So that's where I did before I moved to California.
That's awesome. And we're lucky that Boeing has a pretty good record. So not too many crashes over the years.
Yes, that's true.
So let's get back into your personal life for just a second. How did you meet your husband? And I know that you've got 3 children, so you've been together for a little bit.
Yes, we actually just celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary on Veterans Day. We met through eHarmony, actually. When I was working at Boeing, I was traveling so much and didn't really have the time to meet anybody or really feel like I could devote the time since I was traveling so much. And working quite a bit, actually. But then when I started working in the operations center, I was like, I think I'm ready to meet somebody. And so I was like, how am I going to meet someone? It was either through Boeing, which there weren't very many, younger people working at the Boeing company when I was there. And I wasn't into the bar scene or anything like that. So my friends were like, well, you could try like eHarmony. And so I did. I gave it 3 months. I signed up for the 3-month trial, I guess, probably around this time, 12 years ago. 12 years ago, because my husband and I met, and I guess we were connected in January. And then we talked and emailed and stuff. And then in March of 2009, we decided to meet, and then we hit it off, and we did the long distance thing for a year. We took trips back and forth. He would come up and visit, and I would come down here and visit because I was still living up in Washington. And on our 1-year anniversary of meeting each other, he popped the question, and I said yes. Wow. And so I moved down. I retired. I'd say I retired from Boeing on my 30th birthday, and then moved down to San Francisco, where he's from, or grew up in San Francisco.
That is awesome. You are the second of my friends that I know that have gotten married and have had successful marriages and met through eHarmony. So
that's great.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So Tell us about your experience prior to working and becoming the Seller Queen. What led you into going solar?
Sure. So, when I moved down to California, it was right after 2008, the crash of 2008. It took a couple of years. I mean, I'm sure you remember it took a couple of years for the market in the real estate market to kind of recover. But no one was really hiring, and because I didn't have a college degree, I kind of felt a little bit incompetent. So I would apply for jobs at different, corporations in San Francisco, but really, I started kind of figuring out how to do a side hustle. So I started dog walking and running. So people in San Francisco would actually hire me and pay me good money to walk and run their dogs. And I did that for about a year. Meanwhile, I was learning how to do photography because I really love art and I love photography. So I had actually purchased a DSLR and started learning how to use it and started taking pictures. So I created a photography business and I did portraits and engagements and family photography, and I dabbled in wedding photography, but that was just really demanding and taxing on my body. And so carrying all the gear on my shoulders and stuff. And now I have the what I probably needed back then, which was the CBD oil from our friend Justin. I could have recovered quickly had I, had that stuff and put it on my neck and shoulders. But I really enjoyed the wedding photography, and I loved the beautiful, imagery that I could capture of brides and grooms, getting married and stuff. But I did the photography business for about 5 years, weddings for about 2 years. And then, I started having children, and weddings are usually on the weekends, and it was really hard to be pulled away from my family to do that. So I kind of pivoted and I learned how to trade the stock market. So I learned how to trade stocks and options, which was really fun, really stressful at the same time. I don't know if you've traded the markets before, but again, I'm glad I have that skill, but it was really hard to do on the West Coast with young kids. So I ended up learning how to do sell on Amazon, like Amazon FBA. So then that's fulfilled by Amazon. So I brought a private labeled, a product and then brought it to the market. And so I learned how to do e-commerce basically, which was really great. I'm really happy I learned that. But what that led me to was learning about digital marketing as well. And that's how I met Joe Soto through watching some of Ty Lopez is an internet marketer, and he has purchased actually tons of dying brands or brands that are just not making it in the retail space. So he's actually going out and getting these brands like Pier 1 Imports and Dress Barn and some other businesses and doing the e-commerce stuff. So I started learning from Ty Lopez, was introduced to Joe Soto through his videos, and that's how I learned about digital marketing, social media marketing. And that was what I thought, I'll do that. I can do that from home with my 3 kids, because at that point in time I had 3 kids. And then at the same time as I was learning all that, a friend from the past had reunited. It's on via Facebook, and he's like, "Hey, Jamie, what's going on?" And I said, I have 3 kids. He goes, "Yeah, I know. I follow you, and we have 2, and we're living doing the family life too." And I said, "Well, what are you up to these days?" And he goes, "I'm actually helping a friend with his solar business." And I said, "Oh, tell me more." Because I thought maybe I could help them with their social media and lead generation. But then he's like, "Well, why don't I just send someone out and you can learn, they can tell you about, talk to you about solar, since we're homeowners and we didn't have solar." So I said, "Sure." So he sends this guy out, and I didn't know what to expect. We'd never had a salesperson in our home before. Well, I take that back. We had a Costco countertop guy come in and try and give us a quote. But so we had someone come and he presented, and I was like, "That's it? Like, that's solar in a nutshell?" And he's like, "Yep." And he was a young guy. I wouldn't say he was so much sleazy, but it kind of gave us that, oh, I don't know if we want to go. I don't know if we want to do this or not. I'm not sure. But we ended up going solar with him. And I thought, oh my gosh, we're saving so much money on our energy. We're getting our power from the sun, and I can do this. Like, why can't I do this? I want to help people. And I also saw more of the industry and stuff, and I was like, yeah, there are kind of some sleazy sales guys out there. So I got into it to help homeowners save money, but also to help them have a better experience going solar, so that they didn't feel like, they had this unpleasant sales experience and never heard from their salesperson ever again for a project that can take anywhere from 3 to 5 months, depending on the codes and depending on everyone's individual home situation. So that's how I said to my friend, I go, I want to do this. And so he said, okay, well, bring me 10 leads and they'll close, the salespeople will close it. You'll watch them do it and you'll earn a little commission, which was like $500 per sale, which is nice. I'm not going to lie, but knowing what I know now, I probably could have gone and actually gotten a proper job from somebody from a different solar company. So that's how I got into it. So I did that, I shadowed someone for about 6-7 months before I felt comfortable going out on my own. And I really pulled from my experience with the Boeing company and, public speaking or talking with people, and got over my fear of presenting. So that's how I got into it.
That is awesome. So we are in California.
Yes.
I think it's the law. It's either beginning next year or 2022 where every new build has to have solar with it.
That's correct.
We live in a state that is, let's say 80 to 85% of the year it's sunny outside.
Yep.
So we live in a perfect place where solar will work. So, why should a homeowner, especially in California, want to utilize a solar system?
Yeah. So the reason why a homeowner in California would want to utilize a solar system is because the utility companies have made it so that it's becoming, more and more expensive for your electricity. The current utility rates for PG&E homeowners is about 23 cents a kilowatt hour. When you go solar, you're eliminating the need, a vast majority of your need for electricity, dependency on the utility company, because you're going to get your solar equipment that's going to be installed on your rooftop, and you're going to be making solar equipment payments over renting your energy from the utility company. So in essence, you're exchanging, you're getting the same amount of energy. You're just getting it from the sun, which is a clean source of energy. It's renewable. It's sustainable because the sun's, as far as I know, Charles, the sun's not burning out anytime soon. And as long as you have good sun exposure and the right direction to the sun, you should have no problem generating all the electricity that you need for the entire year, even during the winter time. Like today, it's supposed to rain. So our system will not produce the full amount of energy it is designed to produce on a winter time, like a winter day. But you eliminate the need for all the energy being, generated by coal or nuclear energy or gas, obviously is to heat your home and cook and stuff. But the utility companies have made energy so expensive that going solar, the cost per kilowatt hour over the life of the system is about, I would say on average, at least 30 to 40% less than what you're paying the utility company.
Okay.
Per kilowatt hour.
One of the things that I am seeing and reading about are cities and counties that are banning the use of gas in new builds.
Yes.
So you want to be getting yourself prepared for that.
Yeah. Berkeley adopted that. No new construction, no new builds can have gas natural gas coming into their home.
And people across the country are going, natural gas is the cheapest way to go. But in California, it's not.
Yeah, that's true.
So we have to take a look at that. So I want to be upfront with everybody. I met Jamie while she was back doing a mastermind back east. And I heard her talking about solar. And I thought, well, you know what? I have recently had experiences where a couple of companies made appointments and then never showed up. And I said, Jamie, let's talk. So we have gotten together and we are in contract to have a solar system installed. So thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome. Thank you, Charles.
I just wanted everyone to know that up front. So for a person like myself, what kind of person do ahead of time to make certain that installation of the system goes smoothly?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that, homeowners need to think about. Is the first thing is the roof. Like the roof needs to have at least 10 years of life left in it before anyone would install on it. And even if it's newer, say if you have 15 years of life or 20 years, that's even better. But your roof condition is really important. So a lot of people, kind of wonder, should I go solar? I know I need a new roof in the next 5 years. And that's a talking point. Should you go ahead and re-roof now and get solar installed, or should you wait and re-roof in 5-7 years? So the roof condition is important to know. And obviously when you get solar and you need a new roof, that's kind of the perfect time to do the new roof. So there are ways to include re-roofing in your solar financing, as long as it's not exceeds a certain percentage of the total amount of the solar loan. There's different ways to do that. The other thing is to prepare your home. If you have trees that need to be cut back or trimmed back that might cause shading or onto your home, it's good to look at your trees and trim them back if you need to, because once you get solar installed and you have trimmed back trees, you have to maintain that tree level so that it doesn't prohibit solar energy production on your panels. The other thing to prepare for is making your home as energy efficient as possible, because like we went through with your home, I went and got your usage for the last 12 months and had the discussion. Is this a normal usage? Are you planning to add on to your home? Are you planning to add any more appliances to your home that would affect your energy consumption? And so that conversation is always had. And so I recommend homeowners to go out and, do what they can within reason without going out and spending thousands and thousands of dollars, unless they were planning on it, like replacing, windows or making their home energy efficient with insulation or things like that. Because a lot of people, the biggest sources of energy draws are air conditioning and heat. So people spend a lot of money on their air conditioning because we live in an area where it gets really warm in the summertime. So if you can make your home energy efficient, that's going to help keep the cool air in and the hot air out during the summer. And then it's also going to keep the cold air out during the winter time, and the heat source that you're providing for your home your home will stay warmer or more comfortable longer. So those are things to prepare for. Yep.
Okay. How long does a normal installation take?
Well, the actual installation of the solar system can take anywhere from 1 to 3 days. But the entire process of, starting with the conversation or the solar appointment to the time of permission to operate, which is when the utility company says everything, we sign off on everything, you can turn your solar system on, last year I saw it all happening within 3 months. This year, because of COVID, because of fires, because of just the amount of people going solar this year, we're seeing 4 to 5 months for the entire process to take place. Okay. So yeah, but the actual solar installation, the actual panels, Usually takes a day to 3 days.
Okay.
Sometimes a half a day, depending on the size of the system.
Okay. So now how long will a person be without power during the installation?
If the homeowner is getting a main panel upgrade, which is when you have a 100 main service disconnect coming into your home, if it's required to upgrade to a 125 or 150 or 200 amp main service panel, you will lose power for about 6 hours because they need to shut off the service to the home to be able to make the change. And that is usually, we like to see that happen on the day of installation, but sometimes it might be a few days after. It all depends on when PG&E gives us the shut off, the shut off and turn back on date. But the actual day of solar installation, it might be just a couple of hours while they tie in the inverter to the main panel.
Okay. Do the installers discuss the functions of the various pieces of equipment that you're having installed? Like we're having a battery installed.
Yeah. They'll kind of they'll run through your critical loads that you want to have backed up during a power cut. Like, the public safety power shutoffs. You'll have that. They'll kind of discuss, where do you want your battery installed? Usually that happens at site survey. And for backup batteries, if you can have them installed inside your garage, that's better because you want to keep them out of the elements. But as far as the rest of the equipment, the inverter, as far as the inverter goes, which is what the piece of equipment that converts all the direct current into alternating current, that the alternating current is the electricity that we run through our house, like in our home. So the solar panels is what gathers all the energy, and it travels through conduit as direct current into the inverter. The inverter converts that energy, runs it through the main panel, and it goes through your home. So those are really the main components to a solar system. There's really little maintenance that you need to do for the solar panels. There's little maintenance to do for the inverter. The thing that's really the homeowners need to be responsible for is making sure the panels stay clean of debris, like the fires. Every homeowner in Northern California and Southern California that experienced ash fall really needs to go and clean their panels. If they don't want to do it, they can hire a company to do it for them. But clean your panels, make sure the leaves are, there's no bird poop on the panels. On a rare occasion, I have somebody I know, I didn't help her go solar. She bought the house with solar already installed, but pigeons decided to nest.
Wow.
So, she's trying to get rid of the pigeons. And so the pigeons can, you don't want the pigeons nesting in your solar array. But the inverter, as far as the inverter goes, there's really nothing you should do for that. It will shut off during a power cut. If you don't have a backup battery, it'll shut off. There's a rapid safety shut off. And this is for safety to the linemen that are working on PG&E lines. But even in an event of a power cut, and you don't have a backup battery, it'll shut down. You don't have to do anything because it's waiting for signals from the grid to re-energize. And as long as they see at least 5 minutes of stable, energized cable or power lines, the inverter knows to start back up. So there's very little that you need to do in regards to the actual physical components of your solar system.
Okay. So we are very close to our 30 minutes, but I wanted to ask you really quickly, what questions should a homeowner ask that are interested in getting solar power or a solar system?
That's a great question, Charles. I would say make sure to ask what their warranties are like on their panels, what kind of panels they're using, because there are different tiered panels. There are tier 1 panels, which is all I have access and all I will use on a homeowner's house. There are less, subpar panels. You want to find out what the panel manufacturer is, as well as the inverter. So it's kind of important to know what kind of equipment you're going to be getting. Make sure that the roofing warranty is at least 10 years. I'm starting to see 25 years. You want to ask about the inverter warranty. So a lot of times I'll encourage the homeowners to get the extended inverter warranty because those things they will die at some point in time. You need to have it replaced. And talk about, just talk to them about, gosh, this is a really good, no one's ever asked me this question. The reputation of the company, how long have they been in business? There's two different models in solar. You can either be like a solar sales and marketing, like a dealership that works with multiple installers, and they install the projects for you that you sell. Or you can go directly to like a solar company that does it all. Those are usually your small mom and pop shops.
Okay.
And there's different experiences with both. Sometimes I've seen it be a longer install period when you go to mom and pop shops, but because they are so small in size. So it just depends on what the homeowner is looking for. Ask them about their different ways of paying for the solar system. Cash is not the only way. I know back in the days that was the only way to do it. There's a lot of different ways to pay for your solar system. And yeah, I would just say make sure you really connect with your salesperson too, because they're going to be the ones that are going to be helping you throughout the process, or at least have a good sales support team, project coordinators and everything. So,
all right, Jamie, I'm going to finish off with this. Are there any questions I should have asked you that I did not?
Oh gosh. You probably should have asked me about the tax credit. So yes, there is a federal tax credit. There are no more state tax credits for going solar, but there are federal tax credits. You want to make sure you consult with your tax consultant about whether or not you would, be eligible for the tax credit. But there is a tax credit. The 26% federal tax credit is winding down, meaning construction, a vast majority of construction needs to take place by the end of the year to get it. The IRS actually says it needs to be put into permission to operate, but that doesn't mean that since you didn't get it in 2020, you weren't in operation by the end of 2020, that you don't get the full 26% tax credit. It just means you have time to collect it all. So we're going into 2021 and it's stepping down to 22%, which means it's 22% of the total cost of the solar system or the solar project that's being financed. So for instance, I have homeowners who've included the re-roofing into their solar lending. And so they really essentially got 26% of the cost of the roof recouped in a tax credit. Main panel upgrades, batteries, all those things, anything that's included with it to go solar can be included in that federal tax credit. Again, you want to talk to your tax consultant about the tax liability requirements and whatnot, but that's important to know. And currently this investment tax credit, which is what it's technically called, but it's the solar tax credit, is set to go to 0% in 2022. So next year is like the last year for residential homeowners to get solar and be able to get that tax credit. For businesses, it's the same thing, 22% in 2021, and then they have it ongoing perpetual for 10% tax credit if they decide to go solar after that. Now, if something changes with the tax credits and everything and the sustainable energy, then renewable energies, they might extend it, they might increase it. I don't know for sure, but what I do know, it's 22% next year, 0% after that for homeowners. So,
all right. Okay. Yep. One last thing. Where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so on Facebook, you can follow my page, Jaime Greene, the Solar Queen. On Instagram, it's the Solar Queen, or Jaime Greene, the Solar Queen. And email jamie@jamiegreenthesolarqueen.com.
Okay, awesome. Jaime Greene, thank you so much. Hold
You're
on
welcome.
as I go ahead and close this off.
Thank you, Charles.
All right. Thank you so much, Jamie. So, folks, if you have any questions about solar, please contact Jamie. She will take care of you. And I'm going to tell you from personal experience, she'll do a great job for you. And if you would like to sell or buy real estate, I can help you, or I can guide you to the right people that can help you. Have a great day. Thank you for viewing. If you would like to share this out, it would be greatly appreciated. Sharing is caring, as we're like to tell everyone. So have a great day, and we'll see you again next week. Take care. Goodbye.